Rocky and Pocky was released in North America in June of 1993, and it used to be one of my favorite games to rent when I was a kid. Pocky and Rocky actually is a sequel for an NES game called Kiki Kai Kai. The game is centered around a Shinto shrine maiden and her Tanuki friend Rocky. This game has to be one of the shortest games I've ever played, clocking in at about 40 minutes from start to finish. The difficulty for Pocky and Rocky is through the roof. Even on the first level, they throw so many enemies at you that the game tends to drop in frame rate. Despite it only having 5 levels that really aren't that long, there's a good chance it could take you a long time to beat this game. That's if you can even get past the second level. Luckily, you can change the difficulty setting, although easy is much harder than most games of today. The game also features unlimited continues that makes it a little bit more fair. The main reason this game is so difficult is because you have to memorize patterns and where enemies spawn or you'll have a really hard time. The other thing that makes this game difficult is unlike many modern scrolling shooter games where you move the stick and usually shoot with the other stick, this you shoot in the direction that you're facing, so it's really hard to dodge an attack and be accurate at the same time. Take these controls and combine it with the number of enemies they send at you and it really becomes a difficult game. This game definitely has frame rate issues. As soon as you start shooting your primary weapon, the frames drop immediately. And it can drop as low as 5 frames per second as soon as the screen's full of sprites. I imagine it's because all the sprites are so well animated and colorful, but it's just too much for the SNES to handle. You have 3 types of attacks with each character. The primary attack you either throw cards or leaves depending on who you're playing as, and the primary attack can also be upgraded if you find blue or red orbs, which will either make your weapon act as sort of a spreader from Contra, or it'll have you shoot fireballs. The fireballs do more damage, however have less width to their attack. These abilities can also be upgraded multiple times by picking up multiple orbs of the same color, but if you're hit by an enemy you lose these abilities. Your other abilities are a special which clears out everything around you in a short range, or a tail whip or baton whip that deflects enemy fire as well as doing slight damage. You can also hit the X button to do a roll to dodge. There are slight differences between playing as Pocky or Rocky. Pocky moves slightly faster than Rocky and she can roll faster. Rocky can roll further and his special does more damage. Pocky can also do a spin attack while Rocky can turn into stone to avoid damage. Pocky and Rocky also features a simultaneous 2-player mode, which was definitely where a lot of its appeal came from when I was a kid. Graphically speaking, this game has to be one of my favorites on the SNES. Everything's so bright and colorful, and each level is really vastly different from the others. I suppose that's not hard to do when there's only 5 levels, but all the sprites also look bright and awesome, and they're really well animated. The game's translation isn't exactly the best. I love how, "You are my adversary" is the first thing the first boss says to you. You don't see awesome translation like that in games these days. Between each level there are cutscenes, and they look pretty good, but I prefer to just skip them. The PAL version of Pocky and Rocky didn't even have the cutscenes like the North American and Japanese versions. The price currently for a loose copy, according to PriceCharting.com, is about $54, which puts Pocky and Rocky in the running for top 50 most valuable SNES games. The price is actually down currently from $88, which is where it was at in April of 2013. Pocky and Rocky, despite its crazy high difficulty, remains one of my favorite SNES games today. I think I'd have a hard time recommending it to someone that isn't a hardcore game collector, though, because the price of admission is so steep and the game itself is extremely short. That's why this game was awesome for a rental, but not necessarily a great game to buy. If they released an HD version with the ability to use your primary attack by using a second stick, it would be awesome. But with a series obscure as this, I wouldn't count on that happening anytime soon.